Hello everybody, welcome to the Unite Mathcast, an insight into the objective and subjective mathematics of Pokemon Unite. Before we begin, this podcast is sponsored by UniteDB, the foremost authority on the mathematics and formulas hidden within Pokemon Unite. More on them later. Today on the Mathcast, we have our nerd Lazadin.
Hello, I've been staring at crabs for 3 hours.
Our creator Spragels.
Hi, staring at crabs over here as well.
And our pro Sanji.
And I am also staring at crabs. I am a crab enthusiast myself.
And of course, me, Math Geek. Hi! We at the Math Cord believe seeing the same image through different perspectives allow for a more complete picture of the truth. So I brought on 3 different perspectives to have a conversation about Unite. Today's topic is the 1.5.1.2 update, which upset the meta quite a bit. Hey guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So yeah, the patch. It's definitely been interesting.
Yeah, I mean, something Laz kind of, I think, just alluded to is the very odd experience situation and the fact that lots of things don't give you any experience all the time. It's very weird, and I recognize that they have just announced that it is, in fact, a bug and not a feature, which was confusing because I really thought they were actually trying to change a bit of the meta.
Yeah.
But here we go. I guess next week things might go back to some type of normal, but you never know with Unite.
What I find really interesting about that is most of the evidence people were sending me about, man, I'm not making it to 5, when they did the first clue in the jungle, I realized something very interesting. I think that they didn't actually change the XP values very much. I think they intentionally tweaked them.
So,
I think that, based on what I've seen...
Before you go too far,
Yeah?
we actually know precisely what happened.
Okay, what
Because
happened?
of the tweet. What happened is, every Pokemon that evolves, at the level before it is supposed to evolve, the rested XP that it's supposed to get, like the passive XP buildup, just doesn't work.
So like entirely at level 4, for example, if you're a Raboot, it just doesn't...
If you're Cinderace, if you're a Scorbunny, you will just not get a XP passively at level 4. Period.
Oh, because what I was watching, because every video that people had sent me, it was like, oh man, look at the Cinderace. They just finished their clear at 934, and then there's Duraludon finished their clear at 932. It's pretty much the same time. So I figured that it was because of the XP, like they changed how XP like leveling works every 30 seconds, which caused interesting new clears. But that's not the case.
Nope. That was clarified in the tweet by Pokemon this morning.
So then.
So you believe them is what you're saying. you believe
I believe them because I spent a very, very, very long time staring at rabbits.
Look, I'm not trying to be this guy, but I also announced I've been staring at crabs. I believe what you're saying. I did notice XP-wise, I don't know if this is also something different or this is a part of it, but I'm getting way less XP when I'm scoring. I was literally on the threshold of evolving, and I was scoring and not getting XP. I don't know if that's somehow related, if that's like connected to it, but I just wonder if this XP issue is maybe more multifaceted than they're letting on.
I think so as well.
So, I mean, they also changed how scoring works entirely. So I think that what's more likely is they changed 2 small aspects of the game independently, and it happened to create an impact on XP from 2 different directions. I don't know why the XP at level 4 wouldn't work for Evolution. That just doesn't... I don't see anything they changed that would obviously change, that would cause that. But as for scoring, they did fundamentally change how scoring works. So because of that, I wouldn't be surprised to see XP take an interesting hit one way or the other, either intentionally or not.
You know what really sucks about that XP, like this bug too. You look at, because it's not limited to the jungle, right? It's all across the map. And what really sucks about it, let's take top lane for example, right? So you have Lucario, right? Lucario doesn't evolve, so he's unaffected. But then you take what are other top lane picks? Okay, you have Serena, you have Machamp, you have, two stage evolutions or 3-stage evolutions or whatever, right?
It's a buff to Lucario.
It's indirectly a buff to Lucario, and if anyone wants to Serena, for example, okay, if you have to get ahead on Serena in top lane in order to be able to do anything, and if you don't get ahead, you kind of just don't really exist, and this XP change, you evolve at level 4. So level 3, you're getting you're getting shafted on XP, and you evolve at level 6, so level 5 you're getting shafted at XP, when those are like the two most important parts of the laning phase.
That's really funny. It's also terrible, but it's also really funny. Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully they'll have that fixed in the next couple days.
The fixed date, unfortunately, due to Golden Week in Japan, the fixed date was announced to be May 6th.
Oh my god, so we've got another, you know...
The tournament is May 7th.
That's less than 24... Wait, exactly 24 hours away.
Yeah. I mean, it could be more or less depending on what time of day they actually start the event or release the patch. But
that's true.
yeah,
Someone in the math court, start working on this. We need to know the difference between the 6th and the 7th. I want to know exact hours, maybe even to the minute here.
Yeah, because like you need every second of training you can. Because what if it turns out what if something ridiculous happens and it turns out they actually intended to change XP? So on the 6th they do actually implement the change they were meaning to put in, and it ends up just causing a huge ripple effect the day before the event. Never trust a hotfix before an event.
I have to say that I said this many times publicly. There was no way a balanced patch was coming because this always happens with the Unite balance patch. I thought there was no way they would put this out before AOS because half of AOS Cup has happened, or not half, but
yeah,
maybe a sixth of AOS Cup or whatever has happened. And now every other team is going to be playing a wildly different game, and we also could have a ton of issues from this new patch. I'm really interested to see how this plays out, and I do feel pretty bad for all the professional teams out there trying to figure this out at the last minute, especially for the biggest tournament in Unite so far.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like it's just not fair how there are some teams that didn't have to deal with these changes, and now every other team that still has to play now has to spend like 16 hours a day hard grinding, figuring out all these details. Because yes, the XP is something that matters, but that's not what people give a shit about for the most part. What matters is the first pivot we're gonna have into the held items. Buddy Barrier and Score Shield being changed just absolutely shatters how people are able to play, and not being able to play with proper XP means you don't really have good practice.
I would love it if if next week they just put Buddy back to the way it was. They're like, sorry, that was a mistake too.
Please no.
Or maybe they'll
we
just
can
do
leave
it
that
for...
change.
They might just, if they're gonna do that, they'll probably only do it for a bit of time, just for the AOS Cup, because there's gonna be outcry or outreach. Who knows? If people are gonna cry that Buddy Barrier being changed a week before the event, pretty justified complaint, honestly, all things considered. But yeah, this is ridiculous.
The problem they run into is because almost all the AOS Cups got delayed except for Japan and Korea, which, by the way, what a nice coincidence that Japan was the region that would have been most affected by these changes. Just very strange, very strange. Anyway, but like every single other AOS Cup getting delayed. Well, May Quals is the next weekend, so you can't patch that week. And then you have another just 2 weeks where it's like, okay, well... there's 1 week without a tourney, but then there's like May finals 2 weeks after May quals. So there's actually not a single space within the next like 2 months where you couldn't release a patch without there being a tourney within like less than a week and a half. Now, should it have been before the biggest one, before Worlds? Probably not. But they did just kind of put themselves in a very awful scenario with the way they handled this.
So the problem that I see here is that we haven't had a real balance patch in pretty much a month. Like we've been sitting here for a month without any kind of balance changes. The last time that we had any balance change was them nerfing Duraludon into the absolute ground and fixing some bugs essentially with Mr. Mime and slightly nerfing Aurora Veil. But before that, we hadn't seen another actual balance patch for another 2 weeks before that. So they really had 6 weeks to do something meaningful, and they chose to do it in the middle of their professional event. That doesn't make sense to me.
I'm thinking that they have a very difficult schedule in front of them with all of these events, and I think ideally all of AOS was supposed to happen like right
Before
around the
this,
same
yeah.
time. Yeah. So I think they're just kind of between a rock and a hard place with a lot of this. I actually feel for them a bit because every time they release a new mon or do a balance change, there are problems that present themselves that they just couldn't see. As soon as a balance patch or a change goes out, the amount of time that they spent testing it, players have outplayed it within 5 minutes. So there's no way they're going to be able to find all of these issues. And now they've got this back-to-back tournament schedule. I actually kind of understand why they put this balance patch out. I think it was scheduled here. It was supposed to be after EOS, and now that just didn't happen. Also, I'd really love to cast again. So anything I said earlier that seemed defamatory, that's crazy. I love you guys.
Oh yeah, no,
True.
Nobody means anything by it. Please hire me again.
You know what? They're doing great stuff over there. Gotta say, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, other than like the content I love the content of the patch. It's just, timing has been unfortunate. But I wanted to, because Sanjay and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, I wanted to hear his thoughts as someone who is actually in that top 16, like him having to prep with his team for this very, very unfortunate scenario. Like,
Oh, it is a nightmare. I'm sorry, dude. How are you gonna release a massive patch a week and a half before the event? Like, every single team right now is just scrambling to find what's good, and it's a complete nightmare. Fortunately, we kind of found something. A little bit of hot take here, but Cram Jungle. It's pretty good.
Because his Unite move is now actually good, so it makes for decent ganks, right?
Mm-hmm. But
I mean,
on
Air
top
Slash
of that,
is also kind of cracked.
So about that,
Is this before we continue? Is this real?
Yes,
I can't
this
tell
is
if we're
very
being
real.
serious.
no, I talked with some of his teammates. It's very real.
It is
Okay,
very
I
real.
love to hear this, and also I have not played enough with Cram. I'm just feeling like, boy, this change didn't seem to help it as much as I was hoping. But I love to hear this. Sorry, please continue.
Cramorant's big issue was essentially that his Unite was a wet noodle. Like, it had a really long charge time, and it didn't actually deal a ton of damage, all things considered. So it felt like Cramorant's entire kit relied on his main two abilities, because his Unite just didn't really, do anything. So this change ended up buffing his Unite by a significant chunk. It's like 20% more damage, something like that.
So the Unite change is really, really good. I can't remember was it this patch or the patch before where Dive got buffed?
Patch before.
The patch before, okay. So
let me actually go pull up those specific numbers.
314.
But to be fair, they nerfed Air Slash. They didn't want to make it too powerful.
True.
So Math Geek, when you said Air Slash earlier, we don't run Air Slash. We run
Really?
Dive Hurricane Cram Jungle.
Based.
And it is the level 4 power, the level 4 gank is absolutely insane. Basically, you show up in lane and someone dies.
Like, my instinct,
it's
just my
insane.
mathematical instinct, cringes at that and just says, no, that just can't be right. Are you sure? Really? That works? Why?
So there's a fun little item called Razor Claw.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay, yeah. Okay.
So
This
I think it was when they changed Dive, they took the damage out of Dive and loaded the power into the auto, right? So they didn't really nerf the ability, they just kind of changed it around, but made it better for Razor Claw. So you can run Razor Claw, you dive, you get your empowered auto, you hit them with the auto, and it just chunks. And if you have a Hurricane, you set up the Hurricane, you hit them with the Hurricane, you hit them with the dive, you hit them with the auto, you're doing at least half their health. It's actually so dumb.
So
It does so much damage.
it's funny because looking at Dive, so yeah, you're right that they put it into the auto, but they did take it out of Dive, and the amount of damage they put into the auto is almost the exact same amount that they took out of Dive. So ultimately, it deals the same amount of damage, but the key bit is if you hit someone with Dive, and most of the time, you aren't actually hitting somebody with Dive. You're getting in close using Dive, and then autoing somebody for 1 billion damage. So offloading that into a nice ranged ability would work better. Am I right with that general assessment? Or are you actually trying to target people with Dive?
Well, this is why you run Hurricane. You set up your dive, right? So you can have, let's just take a bread and butter tank. Let's take Snorlax, right? So imagine you have Snorlax slams in. Okay, Cram Hurricanes, dives. right? You can have a setup for the Hurricane, or, you know, if you're just a god, you can just land your Hurricane and then dive onto them and just deal insane damage.
That sounds hilarious.
But you can always set up the ability to hit your dive and get that insane damage, especially with the Razor Claw auto.
You can also, like, for mid-game fights, like, you don't have to dive in, because sometimes diving in is just death. That's the big benefit of the dive change, is being able to dive sideways and still have the majority of the damage active.
Yeah. That's the thing. Being able to use the auto afterwards for non-zero damage is actually pretty nice.
And what's the rest of the build in case someone wants to make a video?
Yeah, just in theory. In the off event that we're going to have a clickbait video that says, Cramorant is insane now in jungle? Question mark, question mark.
I mean, it's...
Laz, what's the build?
Well, so,
Leftovers, Rocky Helmet.
I think it's triple damage. I know it's Razor Claw.
It's Razor Choice, and then you can either run Amp in the third slot, or you could run, like, Focus or Buddy.
I think it's Amp, because we're not running Buddy on Cram, so I think it's Amp.
Okay, it's either Amp or Focus.
Amp kind of makes sense, given that it unites better and faster. This is actually really cool to hear. I've tried Dive Hurricane Cram before. This is really nice, and I'm not lying. I am going to try it after this podcast. It sounds pretty cool.
Expect nothing less.
What was the exact wording, sorry, on the title there, Math Geek?
Oh, man. It was... Crap, what was it?
No, it should be, I stole this build from Feppy, who stole it from Muck, I stole this build from Muck, who stole it from, stole it from Muck, stole it from Feppy, stole it from Laz.
Okay, stolen build, OP,
Stolen
dive, cram in the jungle, and then 5 questions.
No, 2 question mark. Exactly 2, because you don't want to overdo it for the clickbait.
Yeah.
You got to have 2, because it shows that you're really inquisitive about the title, obviously.
Perfect, yeah.
So
can't,
nice balance.
It's not only a question, but it's like, wait a minute. Really? It's 2
you won't
question marks.
believe.
You won't believe it. All right, perfect. Thanks, guys.
Can't wait to see that on your channel by the end of the day. But yeah, Cramorant's definitely interesting. Oh man, it just doesn't feel like the change is all that significant. Like, there's obviously a change that's important, but I don't see how this change would. I mean, what was it, a nerf that caused somebody else to be less good, or that allows Cram to do this, or is this just kind of always a thing that Cramorant could, in theory, have done?
Let me pull up the patch notes, because I'm not entirely sure.
Well, Cramorant, the 1.5.1.2, oh my god. I hate that they do the 3 points. It feels so weird to say. 1.5.1.2 update. All that it did was add an extra 5th blade onto Air Slash and increase the Gulp Missile damage by about 20% and reduce the cooldown by about 10%. So it's not a ton.
Honestly, I think with the dive change a while ago, as well as some of the things getting nerfed this patch. Okay, so what killed Cram before? Okay, Greedent got nerfed. Okay, and Cram was pretty much unplayable because there was always something better, right? So, okay, A9. A lot of people were actually flexing it into the jungle at the start, our team included, because it was actually pretty good. Found a better home in bot lane. You could also do some interesting strats with it, but I don't really know how good A9 is. We haven't really tested it. But A9 getting the A-Veil nerf is pretty, I'd say pretty important. Talonflame, people aren't playing it because they haven't really looked at it too much since it got quote-unquote nerfed. So most of the things that are really good into Cram kind of just aren't present right now, I feel like. On top of that, there was, a interesting change this patch that...
Which one? There's like 80 of them. Blissey?
Let's talk about Blissey, yeah. So, unironically, last patch, we had scrims against Ascendants at one point, and we were getting rolled the entire scrims, right? We're testing some new stuff out, and, we're trying different things. We're also, there was a couple of games we were running the same thing because we wanted to see, okay, how is someone else going to adapt to this so we can play off that. And one game, our tank player, Akilo, accidentally fat-fingered Egg Bomb instead of Helping Hand. and we completely dominated the entire game. So we looked more into it and realized, wait, Egg Bomb is actually pretty good in certain scenarios. And now this Egg Bomb change, making Blissey a must pick, is even better for Cram because, okay, we're running Egg Bomb, but the fact that Blissey is already good, you can run Cram and you can, have the Blissey ultimate for Cram.
Excuse me as I go back and gloat real quickly, because I have to go find when I was talking about Egg looking like it was actually going to be strong, and people in the contributor chat saying, no, there's no way. Like, nobody's ever going to run Egg Bomb. Why would you do that?
Yeah, it was unironically pretty good before.
It was in a public chat here, where I said at level 11 you can dump nearly 5k damage with Egg Bomb, with no items included. Just for vanilla, spamming Egg Bomb does 5,000 damage. What the hell? That is so much damage for one ability to be able to drop with just the loads you have with four eggs. Like, it's a ridiculous amount that Blissey can now do.
For the record, I don't think they can because I think they're running Bomb Guard.
You're running Bomb Guard? Wait, okay, so that is that is the exact move setup that I would expect not to run. You can do any other combination. Bomb Boiled makes sense because of the egg build. Helping Hand Soft Boiled makes sense because of the because you're trying to play as a support. Helping Hand Safeguard makes sense to me, but Bomb Safeguard just doesn't make any sense logically in my head, right?
I'm actually not too sure because I don't receive any support from my team at all, usually, so I don't know what skills my supports are running.
This is just like playing solo queue. I don't know what they're running. I guess we have a flail axe.
Like, Egg Bomb at level 11?
I'll have to ask Feppy after.
Egg Bomb at level 11 does 1,200 damage. That's ridiculous. It's a radius, pretty easy to hit effect that throws enemies, and I think it slows them at level 12 once you get to the plus version, and does 1,200 damage in a single hit with a pretty low cooldown. That's insane.
In my opinion, I think if you are going to run Egg Bomb, it is better to run Bomb Guard. Because Safeguard is such a ridiculously powerful ability. Obviously, there's a couple of picks right now that should probably be meta, but are not, because of the fact that they are screwed over by the XP bug, which also might play into why Cram feels good right now, because, hey, it's a single Evo Mon. You don't actually ever get affected by the XP bug, right?
Yeah.
But, stuff like Charizard, right? Charizard doesn't like playing against Blissey because it makes your ultimates more awkward. Stuff like Slowbro doesn't like playing against Blissey because it makes your surfs more awkward. All these things that, there's so much that Safeguard, allows you to do, that it's really hard to give it up.
So, speaking of Surf, Greninja, right? So you're saying part of the reason Cram might feel so good is because of the XP. Well, let's take a look at what people are playing right now. So a lot of people are playing Greninja. That's the pick that people have kind of rested on this patch is Greninja jungle.
So
that's kind of the consensus, right?
Yep.
Even with the XP changes. Greninja can't do anything against Cram at all. Ever. Greninja is so useless into Cram, it's hilarious.
I am not surprised by this. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. But other picks, for example, Charizard, right? Charizard should be better than it is, but because XP is just unpickable. I think Blastoise is another great example. That pick was not nerfed, by the way. It's still the same as it was last patch, and everybody was running it. And it's just, can't be played, so you can't test against it because of how bad the XP screws it over, right? I don't know. It's so hard to get an accurate judge of how good any individual pick is, and this is more speaking from this is more me speaking as a coach than it is as a backcourt person here. But
yeah,
that's kind of the situation where I've been put in, where I'm just I don't know how good this is because I don't know how good it's going to be in a week.
Yeah, we know how tough you have it.
Oh my god.
Something about anecdotal evidence from mid-tier players.
Did Crams Unite also get a buff? I heard someone was saying that you can't stop it with Slowbro anymore. Is that true?
That might be a bug.
Okay.
that we didn't test for that because it didn't say anything there, but that is horrifying if that's true. That would just make him even more strong. So I'd like to be able to have so we can be a bit more, overt about this. I would like to have a direct conversation about the I think arguably the biggest change in the patch. The one that
Zera
impacts...
Aura's shield. Yeah,
yes,
getting a
really
shield with discharge. It changes the game, Math Geek.
It really does. It makes everything so much more impactful for his late game. But no, the obviously I'm talking about Greedent now no longer being immune to CC, obviously.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
But yeah, a Buddy Barrier and a Score Shield. Buddy Barrier losing its placement as just the free stat bomb in the game, now being on par with Score Shield, and both it and Score Shield receiving a neuter to their active abilities. What impact is this going to have? Besides, the obvious, Buddy Barrier is now weaker.
I mean, of course I want to hear from the pros because they are going to be coming up with strategies around this in solo and duo and stuff like that. It is what it is. I kind of think Buddy Barrier is still actually really decent for all of that. Score Shield, on the other hand, has kind of been completely destroyed. It's weird.
20 seconds, man.
Not only 20 seconds, which is huge, but also the way Score Shield works, where it gets taken out before other shields. They have destroyed this item. Even worse than Buddy Barrier. Buddy Barrier's very different. I mean, that's a considerable change. But Score Shield is crazy. They wanted to stop Score Comp in its tracks. One more AOS Cup with Score Comp, and now they just wanted to destroy it.
Yeah, the Japanese meta just showed that Score Shield just isn't a fair item. Especially when you pair it with things like Goal Getter, which some people are running. As well as when you pair it with things like the stacking items, like Attack Weight, which people are running. Even when you stack it with things that, just other big shields that people are running, like Unite shields and Buddy Barrier shields. That just made Score Shield so ridiculously strong. The fact that the only usage for Crustle was popping his ultimate to give himself the Buddy Barrier and Unite shield, then walking in and scoring a free 50 because nobody can burn him that fast. That's not good.
Yeah, Crustle is definitely the worst Pokemon in the game after that change.
I mean, I think he already was, essentially, but now
no, Azumarill exists.
Well,
they did give Crustle its crits back on Stealth Rock. I have no idea why, but they are back. So,
I love that video, by the way. That was an excellent video. Just watching Spragels absolutely stomp on people using the crits. It really is just so much extra damage. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking, and it makes no sense. I don't know why they're back. Are Garchomps back? Did they bring crits back to Dragon Build? I have no idea if crits are back.
Not that we know of, but it might be back. We need to go double check, but I don't think so. Yeah, okay. Abunzu confirms that the only crit that came in is Crustle.
Genius.
Unlucky.
Oh, now here's this.
Yeah.
What if some crits were added that we don't even know about? I mean, we're checking the crits we know about, but I mean, can Water Shuriken crit? I yield my time.
Lazadin, can you just imagine? You already know which ability I'm thinking of. What ability would make the most sense to have some stupid random crit on it for absolutely no reason? Obviously, Alolan Ninetales Powder Snow. Everybody's
no,
not again. just if you can just imagine people running an A9 crit build just because that they're the starting. By the way, I'm not sure if Sanji and Spragels know. Powder Snow is the most broken ability in the game, and I don't mean that it's overpowered. I mean that it is actually just broken beyond belief. It is. It just doesn't function correctly. If you give somebody, you know how Aurora Veil provides resistance to damage, right? Every time that any Pokemon gains a resistance to damage buff, permanently for the rest of the game, Powder Snow deals less damage to them. On the other hand, if they receive a defensive increase, then for the rest of the game, Powder Snow deals more damage to them. But it also deals more damage the higher special defense somebody has. It uses your inverse special of defense to deal damage. It is just broken in every way, and it's hilarious. It doesn't
this,
work.
This makes sense. This is why my ally was staying Vulpix all the way until about the 5-minute mark in a match recently.
Because Powder Snow is so... I
didn't know this.
It's like fair, it sounds like it's like dumb, obviously, because it doesn't do very much damage. But like it actually does a significant amount of damage when you get to the late game because it does a lot more damage than it's meant to.
Hypothetically speaking, it was possible to one-shot Crustles before with it because of Crustles' passive, but we haven't actually tested if that's still true in like 3 patches because all of us are just scared to touch that Eldritch Abomination of a move.
Powder Snow is what brings fear in the eyes of the math court. So let's actually use this as a springboard to
actually talk about the thing we were going to talk about.
Yeah, to talk about
Barrier. Good call.
Buddy Barrier. So the shield went from 20, 30, 40, so 40% max HP, down to 25, so 15, 20, 25, as well as losing 25% of its passive HP. Buddy Barrier really just hurts now. It doesn't really losing that amount, it isn't great, but it's still able to live off that. But the main thing that it loses is you can no longer stack Buddy Barrier shields, which is a colossal nerf.
Yeah, I mean, what a massive change, especially to teams. I mean, when you're looking at it competitively, when someone has an amazing couple carries on their team and they know that they can keep them alive throughout some of the bigger fights by chaining those buddy barriers, that's completely gone. And it's going to be really interesting to see how teams play around that. Not to mention the fact that the buddy barrier itself is already weaker.
Yeah, that it's... The losing of the HP, because whenever you're talking about, I want to build a defensive Mon. Okay, well, you're going to start off with, obviously, Buddy Barrier, and then you'll think about, Focus Band, maybe. You might look at Score Shield. You could look at, there's a couple different options you could do. But the big obvious one is Buddy Barrier. And it's not because of its passive. It was entirely because of, or not because of its active ability. It was entirely because it's 600 free HP. And HP is the most efficient possible defensive stat. If you could get 600 HP, that will always be more HP on pretty much anybody than virtually any other upgrade you can get. It is just so ridiculously strong.
So I'm inclined to disagree with you on that one because 600 HP is nice, and maybe it's because I play Lucario and never run Buddy Barrier, but I can't agree with you in saying that the main reason you're looking at Buddy is for 600 HP over stacking Buddy Barriers on one character and just having them go crazy.
I mean, if you're looking for I think you're right, but I'm talking more about if you're looking to build defensively, Buddy Barrier is the first thing you're going to look at. Yes, if you're taking Buddy Barrier, it's not only because you want to build defensively, but if you're building defensively, you will always take Buddy Barrier, and a big chunk of that is because of the 600 HP. The fact that it's now 450, it's still pretty good, but it's no longer the auto pick that it used to be, because 600 HP is a lot of HP, especially early game.
I only build items for stats. That's why I got my Rocky helmet, baby. Give me that defense.
Everybody's favorite assault vest,
I love 7 armor. Let's go.
Yeah.
But how about that Eos cookie?
How about that Eos cookie? How have they not buffed that?
It's
buff it to
funny.
The moon, please.
I actually think that now with this nerf to Buddy Barrier, Eos cookie is now, I know this is going to sound a little bit, is now not C tier. It is now in the middle of B tier.
You need to create a new tier below B tier called most B tier, and that's where it needs to sit.
I have talked to a couple of pro players from other teams, and one of them even attempted to run Cookie for some substantial amount of time, and he just said, no, this is just, I will not, he took it off. He just doesn't think it's ever worth it. And that was on a character that is arguably the single best Cookie character in the game.
Snorlax?
No.
Trevenant.
Correct.
Wait, why?
Which I think probably gives away exactly who it is.
Why is Trevenant the best Cookie character in the game?
Everything heals off HP.
All of his heals are percent. Yep.
I mean, that doesn't make him the best, because, okay, so what build are you running? Because the thing is that all of his first main ability, Woodhammer Curse, removes percent of his HP as well. If you get flat HP as being good when you are taking flat HP. Percent HP one way or the other doesn't really make a difference, air quotes. Like,
well,
yes,
for Horn
it's
Leech, it's pretty nice.
I guess that is true. Yeah, for Horn Leech, it is quite nice. Wait,
Cookies,
is Horn Leech percent? I thought Horn Leech was the heal was
it's
flat.
all percent. It's all percent. Every single heal on Treven is percent.
Interesting.
As someone who's stacked an Eos cookie on every character in this game, I can assure you I know what I'm talking about.
Today I learned. Yeah, the other thing though is that like yes, you are healing percent HP, but you're also losing percent HP by using Curse or Woodhammer, because so it's like it is good, but I would think that it just kind of works better on people who, I mean, this is gonna sound a little bit silly now that I'm thinking about it, obviously, but if you're looking at somebody like, for example, Greninja, who
do not
stacking a cookie gives him like 30% more HP or something stupid like that.
If you're ever getting below like 50% on a Greninja and you're not instantly dead, someone trolled.
True.
At level 11, you have 4,125 HP, and if you add the 1440 on top of that, like...
It's true, it's more torrent time.
You're getting 35% more HP.
You heard it here.
Like,
Cookie on Greninja. Put it on the site.
Like, oh yeah.
No.
No, but like, I don't think it's great. But like, clearly, it does give you a nice amount of tankiness. Like, if you're looking at, if you are thinking about running Focus Band on somebody, if you run Focus Band on somebody who doesn't have a ton of HP, which there's a handful of mons where Focus Band isn't bad on, that also don't have a ton of HP. But, like, Aeos Cookie gives you about the amount of HP that you would get off of triggering a full Focus Band. And since people already run Focus Band on Greninja, like, question mark.
Only 2 question marks.
Yeah, sorry, only 2. Yeah, you're right.
So, I have a counter argument to that.
Okay.
The first thing is, well, I just want to debunk. I have never seen anybody in high level competitive play run Focus Band on Greninja since like
Fair enough.
the first month of the
no
game.
comment.
Unless
question mark.
second off,
Wiggle eyebrows.
so if you're running Aeos Cookie, let's say you're running like the standard Greninja builds looked something like Muscle Scope Buddy. So let's say you find somewhere to slot in Aeos Cookie, right? So let's just say it's over Buddy Barrier in this case because you get more HP. But if honestly, like, what does it actually do, right? Because the stats are nice on paper, it looks brilliant.
I mean, it's the same thing
what
as
does it
like
actually do during the game?
Same thing as Focus Band. Like, what does Focus Band do during the game?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, so it like if I don't think
Unless
that
you're playing
it's
against Blastoise.
Yeah, sure. But I think that like Focus Band and Aeos Cookie both serve roughly the same purpose, which is you just stay alive longer, which really isn't a useful item on a lot of people, but it's something to consider for some builds, I would think. I mean, I don't know, obviously. I'm not going to claim that I'm good at this game. Fuck, I'm just here that I just know the numbers. I punch calculator.
I mean, maybe there's some merit to running it in like solo queue on certain characters.
Yeah.
Although I would find that very, very hard to
justify.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Because there's just, if you're looking at Aeos Cookie, like, or even any
defensive
items that are kind of, you're kind of like, okay, you could have this, but why would you have this when you have, XYZ other item like Muscle or Scope Lens, Razor Claw, Weakness Policy.
That's fair.
Buddy Barrier even, right?
Stacking is one of my absolute favorite things in the game. I love to do it, but yeah, it's one of those items where I feel like they're close to actually making it good, but it would either need to be more HP or maybe you add something with it. Give it a little HP and a little, special defense and defense. All of a sudden it's a really nice item for, getting your character a lot more tanky. I'm not sure how they could do it, but it just feels pretty underwhelming still.
You probably give it passive max health regen, no? That might make it pretty good.
Ooh, that would be fun.
That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, they're decent.
So, like, I mean, okay. So now to pivot to a different item. How would you guys buff leftovers if you had the opportunity to make it an item that isn't just mandatory picking on everybody? Because I think that it's a very dangerous item to buff, because if you buff it too strongly, it could just be an item that's like, oh, well, I'm going to play Snorlax Wall, pin somebody into a corner, and because of the wall lasts 4 seconds, I heal the full HP or something. You gotta have that balance of...
multiply the HPS value, because currently, if you look at the health recovery value on leftovers, that is 9 health
every 5 seconds.
Every 5 seconds. If you multiply that amount by like maybe even 10, and then also make it scale with level somewhat. So for example, like it's probably like 5 then. So like let's say 5. 9 health per second in the early game, not that big of a deal. Or like 9 health per second in the early game is okay to decent. 9 health per second late game is just nothing, right? Also, out of combat timer is too long for either of those things.
7 seconds,
but,
yeah.
So
yeah,
just really quick, competitive level player here. What does leftovers do?
Okay, so it...
That's what I thought.
That's funny. But actually, do you actually not know what it does?
I actually have no idea.
So it gives you, at max level, 240 HP flat and 9 health per 5 second recovery passive. And its active ability is recovers health over time while out of combat by 2% of your max HP every second when you're out of combat, which requires 7 seconds out of combat.
Either you reduce that to 1 and make it work in combat, and I think it's fine, or you like make the HP per 5 HP per 1 and multiply it by your level. I think both of those would do something.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know how math works, so I couldn't answer any of that, but I do think there's a solution to just having it work kind of like the mainline games. Maybe you need to lower the amount of healing you get, but it's always active.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Honestly, the best change to it might actually just be to get rid of the item and throw it onto Ao's cookie, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah. Like, or the other way around. But yeah, I think you're right.
Or give it crit. Maybe give it crit percent. That could help.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No.
Can we get a stacking item with crit percent?
I like the sound of that.
Oh my god, just give like an extra, like, just for the sake of it, just because it'd be funny. Just knock like 3 attack off of attack weight and just put on 2% crit rate. Just as a little something. Just to give you a little extra, a little oomph into the item. Or every once in a while you're like, oops, I just crit you for 18,000 damage.
Oops, I crit you again.
A little Ninetales got a nerf in the most recent patch. Aurora Veil's healings was essentially halved.
A9 is still the same.
No, A9's healing got
reduced
like
healing
halved.
and reduced movement speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. A9's still the same.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
A9's still the same character.
Yeah.
Wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, because Aurora Veil, people were like, yes, the healing was nice, but that's not really why people were using Aurora Veil. Like the healing is like I said, pretty nice to have, but the damage, the free boosted attacks, every fucking attack is quite a lot. Like it really does significant damage.
I will say I did like the healing. I felt the change. I say this about all the changes where I'm like, I feel it. Wow, it's so different. But I actually feel like I felt the healing change. I miss it for sure.
Yeah, that's fair. On the other hand, Blizzard got a really weird change where the amount that it stuns is decreased, but its hitbox was widened.
Blizzard's so cool now. It's really cool. I know no one's gonna run Avalanche Blizzard or something like that, but it feels like that damage over time, that big area is huge. You push really far with it. It's really cool.
I think the issue the issue is that if you're gonna be running the Blizzard wall set, why would you not just do it with Mr. Mime, because he does it better? And that's saying something, because Mr. Mime kind of sucks right now. Like what does A9 provide you with that set that Mr. Mime doesn't?
So the answer is nothing. You don't play Blizzard A9 because it has no mobility and it dies.
Yeah.
And if you press the full heal button, its entire combo does nothing, and congratulations.
But same thing with A9, right? Like that combo is the same thing with if you're running that A9 set. So it pretty much says you may as well not run this one combo, because it just dies in the same way that another mod set does.
Yeah, it kind of just feels like Surf Hurricane Cram. It's just like another thing just sitting there.
Oh, how do you guys feel about the devastating nerf that Lucario got?
Oh, yes. I wanted to talk about that, actually.
That incredibly devastating, punishing extreme speed nerf.
It is unplayable, but it's about time.
So Lucario got a lot of buffs this patch.
Yeah, and the extreme speed nerf is incredibly minor. It's like a 12% damage reduction. Like it's really just doesn't do anything.
So I can't even notice. I haven't been able to notice the damage changes, and considering I play Lucario 5 to 6 hours every day, yeah, I haven't been able to notice anything, and I think a lot of that is, well, not only due to people playing different things at the top lane, getting gated by the XP like we talked about earlier, but the fact that Buddy Barrier got nerfed, and now a lot of people just aren't running it.
Yeah, like
Lucario got more of a buff than a nerf this patch.
Lucario got a direct nerf and a million indirect buffs.
Yes, and it's great.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, just play this stupid blue dog. It's like at this point, it's just never ever gonna be unviable. Like, I don't know, man.
It's so
They have
frustrating.
two of the most expensive pieces of hollowware for it. There's no way they can make it bad. It'll always at least be pretty great.
I mean, aren't there other mods that also have really expensive hollowware for it?
A9, by the way.
Yeah.
Machamp,
A9,
by the way.
Machamp, yeah.
Machamp, yeah.
But Machamp's actually like kind of climbing a little bit in terms of viability recently. So
Champ's pretty good.
I think it's
Cinderace
worse
had the
off.
Season 1 Battle Pass.
you're right.
I think Machamp is a lot worse off this patch than it used to be. Last patch you could run it and find good success. I think this patch, I mean the XP bug has a factor to do with that, but also Machamp you run Buddy, right? At least I would run I would run attack Razor or attack Muscle, something like that, and then run Buddy Barrier, because your ult is really, really good for survivability, considering it's a 2-part cast. You can cast it whenever, and then 8 seconds later just come in with your fists, right? So Buddy being nerfed and not giving you that survivability, I think hurts Machamp more than people think. And I think people are only picking it now because they think the E-Speed nerf is actually a nerf.
I mean, it is a nerf.
And that
It's just
Lucario,
not, meaningful.
the champion itself got buffed rather than actually nerfed. E-Speed is doing arguably more damage because of, different factors.
Now, on the topic of questionably buffed / nerfed mons, Azumarill. So
Yeah, what happened here with this Pokemon?
Okay.
I don't even understand. I read it. I used it. I'm like, what happened?
Let me explain this.
The quote-unquote bug fix.
The quote-unquote bug fix. I hate this company sometimes. Anyway, what happened was...
I do not. I would love to cast another event.
True, yes.
Yeah.
We love you
Spragels
guys.
for Eos
Please
Cup.
continue to support our events. Spragels for Eos Cup, I agree.
please sponsor the
Anyway.
Board. Give us monies.
True. But moving along. So Aquatail on release, the far hit of it did type of damage that we call true damage. I don't know what it's actually called in the files off the top of my head.
I think it's pure or something like that.
Pure something like that. I don't know. This type of damage ignores defense and it ignores shields, which was arguably bad a lot of the time because
It was bad, yeah.
you would just not be able to break score shields with Aquatail ever, and you would just have to punch people, and it was awkward.
I mean, the big thing is that you can't break score shields. Yeah, but if score shield is now shit, then Aquatail is
yes.
now it's really good. That it's...
But Aquatail also now does physical damage instead. What they did is they increased its damage by about 20% across the board.
That's pretty
And
good.
then they made it so that it cannot pierce defenses anymore. So basically, around the 150 defense mark, they'll have enough physical reduction that you're actually doing less damage than you were pre-patch. But before that 150 defense mark, you're doing more damage than you were pre-patch. Notably, you are always doing less damage to camps, which have 250 defense. But you are, especially at level 5, you are doing way more damage than you were pre-patch.
to people around the game, to people who are the champions, because at level 5, the highest defense stat in the game at that point is like if you are not Crustle, Trevenant, Wigglytuff, Snorlax, Blastoise, or Greedent, then Azumarill will be doing more damage to you. There is a lot of mons do have a significant amount of defense early, but they're also not the ones you're trying to gimp with the Azumarill. The ones you're trying to gimp are the ones that are like, you know, the Cinderaces, the Talonflames, who have like 75 or 90 defense that you're able to come in and just absolutely stomp on because you're doing a lot more damage to them.
So this is weird. Okay. They should have done more. This Pokemon's not that good, but all right.
Like once you reach like level 11, for example, almost every mon in the game has at least 150 defenses. The only mons that don't are Venusaur, Gardevoir, Ninetales, Pikachu, Eldegoss, and Blissey. Every other mon in the game, once you reach level 11, takes less damage than they would have pre-patch. So it just doesn't do anything late game.
Yeah, I guess it's fine. I don't know. It's one of those changes that I just think, why like that? But fair enough.
Yeah, what Azumarill really needed to become viable was a late game nerf.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, let's look at what other things do we still have here? We talked briefly about Zeraora's shield. Big whoop, nobody cares. It's not gonna really.
But what's the thought there? I even wonder what's the conversation around a buff like that? It just doesn't even seem...
Discharge?
They're trying to get people to pick Discharge.
That buff is significant.
I think
that buff is huge.
Boy, I've been playing a few Zeraora games, and
oh gosh,
I can't.
How much do I want to say?
I mean, I have a pretty hot take regarding Zera.
All right, you can go ahead, Sanji.
So the hot take is Zera was already actually pretty good, and people just didn't know it.
I agree.
This buff actually makes it so that he can potentially have an insane amount of playability.
Wow.
I think that because Discharge, when it got nerfed, I was talking to Scolded, who's my teammate in the jungler for Team TOS, and he was talking about we were trying Zera last patch because he had an idea, and he was like, Zera is still good, the nerf did nothing. And we played it, and we found a lot of success. It was actually doing really, really well.
When did Zera get a nerf?
A long time ago.
I'm not sure.
Huge
but it was a
nerf.
while ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was like, oh, the nerf didn't actually do anything. So we're like, okay, well, let's see. And, well, the nerf on paper probably did a lot, but in game, Discharge is still Discharge. It's still really, really good. And so this shield buff coming in might actually be enough to give it's enough to compensate for the damage that he did lose, I think, because it gives him more survivability and allows him to do so much more in fights.
Isn't the shield... How big is the buff? It doesn't even feel like it's that... I mean,
50%.
We're talking about a shield.
The shield is
going
50% larger.
Okay, so if it used to give you 500 health, now it gives you 750.
Yeah. The buff increased the ratio by exactly 50%, the per level ratio by exactly 50%, and the base by what may as well be 50%. It's slightly less than 50%.
But it's only one hit, right? It doesn't calculate it based on the amount of enemies hit. It's just that one time it gives you a shield, or am I incorrect there?
Let me quickly check. Discharge. Granting a shield to Zeraora for 3 seconds when it hits. I think it's the very first time that it hits an enemy, it grants a shield.
Wow. It also doesn't grant the shield if you hit with the second tick. You have to hit with the first tick.
Oh, it has to be the very first tick?
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
I was testing it. I remember because it was 3 a.m. in patch day, and I had my tank try to hit me with Talon Fly over and over and over again to record values. That was fun. Shout out to Derp, by the way. Thank you for that one.
Huh. I mean, I would love for Zera to be better. I just feel like it's level scaling, and I don't know. I will definitely defer to the pros' take on this, but boy, it doesn't feel that good to me.
I think Zera is extremely strong.
Oh, wow.
I think Zera was never that bad to begin with. I think people just were not getting the proper value out of it, and I also think Wild Charge is just a non-ability.
Hype,
not gonna lie,
hype.
True.
But you think showing up to Dread without the possibility of a Unite move, I just feel like it's unreasonable.
Just make sure they don't show up with a Unite move either.
Yeah, you gotta make sure that they have to pop up beforehand or just kill them. Death is the best CC.
We can KO the enemy Pokemon? Hold on, I need to change some stuff.
Next on the list is Aegislash, that received actually like a nice big pile of buffs. Like Aegislash, I haven't seen very much Aegislash in anywhere recently, so it's nice to be able to see that he's getting a bit more love. His boosted attack got a slight damage increase, but more importantly, now deals more the percent match HP damage, which is really nice. The healing he gets in the defensive stance heals him a nice big chunk more, and Sacred Sword got a stun increase and a damage increase on all of its hits. So this is a significant buff.
Yeah, and teams were already starting to play around with using Aegislash. This could be a very popular Pokemon, I think.
I really hope to be able to see it at the AS Cup.
So the sword is pretty massive now.
Ayo.
So Toon was already running this like last patch in the jungle, and with all these buffs, like Sword is just kind of going crazy right now, especially with the buddy nerfs, dude. He does so much damage, and he just never dies. It's actually crazy.
I didn't even think about that. The buddy nerfs also really helped this. I mean, he just shreds, and now it's even better. It's going to be really cool to see because I'm not sure what everyone's going to throw in the center. I think we probably will see a lot of Greninjas, but we could see a lot of Aegislash too.
Next on the list would be, we already briefly talked about Trevenant, who just got a bunch of buffs everywhere.
Trevenant's so freaking good right now. Like, it's amazing. It's so good.
The big thing that peeks out to me is the pre-move branch poke healing a big chunk. Like,
branch poke is insane. It's so insane. Oh my god, you can just bully anyone in lane. They can never KO you. I know that in a 1-1-3 it's different than that, but if you're playing just in a 2-1-2, you can't KO this Pokemon. It could just walk to you. You could be standing on your goal. It's crazy.
It's just free healing.
So speaking of tree, I got terrorized by Lutano yesterday. I faced him. I was playing Lucario. He was playing tree top lane. Nerf
funny.
it, please. Nerf it. Get it out. Because that thing is so unbelievably broken. You cannot win lane against tree in top lane. Okay? I don't know about bot lane. I really don't. But in top lane, I can't do anything. He outsecures you. He outtrades you. He says, no, you're not allowed to play the game. It's so insane, dude. And it's actually all because of that branch poke. Like, it gets him a lead because you can't trade against it. The move is so insane.
Trevenant
you don't drop it till 7, right? So you got branch poke for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like the entirety of laning phase. You just can't do anything because branch poke is OP.
I feel like it won this patch so hard. Like, there are a lot of Pokemon that are doing well, but Trevenant went from the bottom to the top.
I mean, there's another big winner this patch, but...
Oh, right. All of us. Yeah, it is nice that they just keep working on the game for all of us. I love the game. Can't wait to cast again.
I agree. But no, I was talking about a more ghosty winner.
Gengar?
Ooh, interesting. So because of the buddy berries, you think Gengar is going to start deleting everyone?
Ooh, so he didn't even receive a buff, like, directly. But I didn't even consider the fact that, like, assassins are going to be a lot stronger now, right?
That's what the top team in Japan's running right now is Gengar. Like, it's... I understand, Sanji, because I'm... The same instinct is probably triggering in your head that it is for me, where it's like, well, like, the late game team fights still have all their same issues, and, like, you could still peel it off pretty easily. But, like, the mid game, dude, like, it is so insane. And because the bug fix happened, which, thank goodness, that bug was in the game for quite some time. Like, it can fairly reasonably be run in tournaments now, and I think it is very, very strong without the buddy barrier running around, preventing it from one-shotting people in late game.
So my only question to that is, what does it do that something else doesn't do better?
I mean,
The answer might be run Absol, if that's what you're thinking.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's like
Yeah.
Absol also is another big winner of the patch by that same degree, because it can just delete people and they don't really have as much recourse as they used to.
I mean,
Yeah,
Gengar really
Absol was
does
already insane.
have this amazing way to chain KOs, though, that Absol doesn't exactly have. Absol's really good, but I mean, Gengar can wipe a team in a different way.
Gengar is a cleaner. They take what's a slightly softened team and just slice off all their heads. Absol takes a brief look at your Cinderace and says, you know what? I'm useless, but I'm going to make you useless too. And they are going to mutually suicide. But I don't think that's nearly as true anymore. But that was its place for a while.
Gengar can reliably 100-0 every single character in the game with his ultimate up.
With ultimate up, I guess that's true.
Every character?
Every single character in the game.
Tree.
Even Blissey.
Are we talking about
Even
Tree
Blissey.
here?
Even Blissey. Even Trevenant.
Even
It does
Tree?
not matter.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'll be interested to see how how that works in the near future then.
I did this math last night. You can ask any member of my team, because I was in a call with them when I was doing it. You can reliably 100-0 any single character in the game.
Even Pikachu.
With ultimate, obviously. The list of characters you can 100-0 without ultimate is also very, very long.
Can you 100-0 a Crustle who pops ult?
That one I had to double check, but probably not.
I could be wrong here. I'm fine with being wrong. I'm wrong all the time.
Same.
I think they changed Greninja's double team. I feel like the double
God.
teams live longer. They don't get
Yeah.
KO'd immediately.
Okay.
So they used to just kind of puff and turn into dust as soon as they were hit. But now it feels like they have these massive health bars. So there's that. Greninja also got a reduction to its Unite move, which I don't think really makes sense. I recognize it was long, but it was also turn on and KO the entire enemy team. So that's kind of shocking. I think Greninja's, I don't know, pretty nuts.
A change that Icarus wanted me to mention. So AI has now been fundamentally changed, like entirely. All the bot AI, all of the clone AI, all of that has now been changed, and now it is segmented in intelligence based on your ranking, and local AI and server AI is now individually split. So you have easy, normal, hard, and maximum difficulties. And they all scale based on your rank. So if you are a high rank, you are going to get more intelligent. I believe if you're a high rank, you're going to be getting more intelligent Greninja clones.
This is all speculative information. We have no proof of
Yes,
this.
this is all speculative information based on what we've seen in the files. But this is what this is what it seems like at the moment, based on what the files are telling us roughly, which is really interesting. At the very least, bot AI is for 100% split in different ways. We don't know if it's actually stronger, but now they do have flags that indicate that the bots are now aware of what rank they're in, which you can intuitively means that they're probably behaving differently based on those ranks. Makes you think that they're going to be stronger if they're in higher ranks. We have no empirical proof of this, but it just feels like the obvious conclusion from the information we have. Which
feels like what I always say. I have no proof of this, but I feel like this is what's going on.
Exactly. That's the real way to do speculative mathematics. Start with a hypothesis and then be proven wrong over and over again until eventually you're right.
Pretty smart.
So,
also, I think I noticed another change. I don't know when this happened, but I don't think Greninja or Gengar can score while invisible anymore.
So that was one of the bug fixes. They didn't mention it in the patch, but one of the reasons. So the main reason why we had Gengar banned before, as per a recommendation, was because there was a bug that if you ulted as Gengar and you started scoring on the first frame you were able to after popping your ultimate. After popping your Unite move, you would be able to stay invisible for the entire duration of the 50 score, and people could not stop you. So if you played this intelligently and you hyper-farmed for the sake of scoring, you could fairly easily uncontested score about 400 over the course of a game with Gengar for virtually no real cost. Yes, you're not going to be able to fight for the entire game, but it's not like they're going to be able to stop you. Like you just ult onto their goal, and they can't do anything to stop you from scoring max. There is nothing that they're able to do. So it's a 4v5, but it's a 4v5 where one team gets a virtually 300 point split for free. And when we looked at that, I felt that that is just not that is not gameplay that is competitive, because there's nothing you can do with it. There is literally no counterplay besides having your own Gengar yourself and doing it. So that was our recommendation for a ban, because of how incredibly polarizing that interaction was. And on top of that, so Greninja had a similar thing where you could begin scoring, but he couldn't score a full 50 with it, and it was a lot more difficult to do a similar thing. They also they managed to successfully patch out the Hoopa bug as well, which I may as well mention because people were curious about it, that allowed you to the one that allowed you to permanently stay in your Unbound form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bug that allowed you to pop your ultimate while you were while using one of your other abilities, and it allowed you to permanently lock yourself into your Unbound form and get all your Unbound abilities for the entire game. As long as you never popped your ultimate again, you would just stay in it, and there's no reason to pop it again because you're in your Unbound form. So yeah, it was that was a really bad game-breaking bug that fortunately didn't make its way out into the world. Yeah, and experimenting further and further, I'm also noticing that there's a lot of the other big game-breaking bugs that we were looking at. A lot of them seem to have also been patched. So there was a bug a while ago that allowed people. I'm just gonna blatantly say it here. There was a bug that allowed virtually free arbitrary code execution that allows you to pretty much dick over the server however you like. I was watching somebody who was able to code inject directly into the game and allow them to just give themselves a huge end game score. They were able to warp people across the map. That was ridiculous. It required a lot of investment, but it was doable. The servers were not secure, but apparently that's no longer doable. That was patched this patch, so that's also good. Yay! Game's no longer hackable.
That was obscene.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fortunately, it looks like all the big problems have mostly been ironed out, and the game is now air quotes functioning as intended. Yay.
Yeah. Other than if you're playing a Cinderace at level 4.
Well, yes. There are bugs, but it's no longer so ridiculously broken that you can code inject and teleport people across the map. So once again. Thank you to our panelists that were with us today. We have Lazadin. Please give a little shout out about where we can find you.
I mean, same place you could find me last week, right? I still haven't published any content yet because I was a little busy with certain things this week. Although speaking of being busy with certain things this week, we've got a couple of bigger projects here on the Math Cord that are going to be started to be pushed out this weekend, hopefully.
Exciting.
So, look out for those, especially in the experience department. The experience debate caused me to, start working on that project again, and we'll see if we can get that published before too long.
Awesome. Thank you. And our creator, Spragels, please give us a little shout out as to where we can find you.
Yeah, you can check my stuff out on YouTube. I stream sometimes on Twitch. I just want to give a big shout out to everyone in this community here because there's so much information that I use for my videos and things that come from the Math Cord. So thank you to everyone who works so hard and answers my questions when I come in and I go, I'm hearing that Lucario actually was buffed. What's going on? So thank you, everyone.
And lastly, we have our pro Sanji. Where can we find you?
You can find me over on Twitch at Sanji4, on Twitter, Sanji4Official, and also our team Twitter at TeamTOS_.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This episode was brought to you in part by UniteDB, the foremost authority on the mathematics and formulas hidden within Pokemon Unite. The Math Cord works hand in hand with them to ensure the most up-to-date information is available to you all, and we hope you appreciate this resource. Check them out at unite-db.com. That's unite-db.com for formulas, patch notes, tier lists, and a comprehensive mechanics FAQ. This episode was also brought to you by the Math Cord Patreon. Specifically, I'd like to give a shout-out to Aher and Turpy and Circa, who support us at the Funder tier, as well as all other patrons at our $5 and $15 tiers who help make this podcast a thing. If you'd like to support us or have your name read out at the end of each Mathcast episode, feel free to support us at patreon.com/mathcord. Thank you all for watching. Have a great one.